Hey guys, this week we're going to talk about the 10 biggest videos I ever shot for Scotty's Garage and the stories behind them. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to do something a little bit different in that it is cold and wet outside, and I don't really want to push Dad's ute outside to get rained on, and I have to do that to work on the wagon. So rather than work on the cars this weekend, we're going to switch into story mode and talk about the 10 biggest videos that I ever shot for Scotty's Garage. And when I say biggest, I mean the most amount of views. I mean, these 10 videos alone have 19.3 million views in total. That's right. It makes up almost a third of the views on my channel. I know, it's crazy. So these videos have all got stories behind them as well. I mean, we're not just going to say, hey, this video got this many. We'd talk about how they came to be, because some of them have some quite interesting stories. So let's start with number 10, and I have to refer to my notes because a lot of numbers here to deal with. In the number 10 spot, we've got the Forza fire burnout. So this happened at Rev Fest quite a few years ago. Mark Arblaster decided he was going to do a burnout sort of car show down at Wagga, and they built a burnout pad in the showgrounds as well. And it was going to be quite a big thing, except the Wagga police have long memories, and they were, you know, they remember the riots of the late 80s at the Street Machine Nationals, and so they came down pretty heavily on the entrance at Rev Fest that year, and it kind of did put a bit of a damper on the whole show, but the show still went on, and we saw some amazing things, and I was there taking photos and shooting video, doing the photos for Street Machine and doing a story for Street Machine, but then shooting the videos for myself. So Sal Mancuso brings his blown injected small block methanol HR Holden. Now this car was a drag car, like an 8-second drag car, and but he decided he was going to throw it out there on the burnout pad. So he goes out there and he just leans on this thing like a madman and does this amazing burnout. It catches fire, they stop. The local fire brigade comes in to put the fire out, and they're like, all right, shut it down, you're done now. And he's like, no, gets out, checks the tyres, and goes, yep, I'm going again. And all the fireys disappear off the pad, so he hits it again, and then he backs up right towards the end. They've already, you know, killed basically the burnout. The siren's gone off, you know, burnout's supposed to be over. No. He backs it up and just goes whop, 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 and just massive sheets of flame explode from under the car. And it was pretty awesome. It was one of the biggest sort of fire burnouts we'd seen at that stage. Yeah, it was pretty full on. And it got 895,000 views. So it got a lot of views. So that was pretty cool. In the number 9 spot, we have what we call, or what I called, the best power skid ever. So this happened at one of the early Power Cruise events. I mean, it might have been the first Sydney Power Cruise event. I can't remember if it was the first, but it was very much one of those early Sydney Power Cruise events. And again, I was there doing some stuff for Street Machine. And so they were doing the power skids at Power Cruise, and power skid is a term that Gupp and his crew came up with for basically what Freiberger calls burnouts for distance, which is, you know, get on the throttle and smoke the tyres as long as you can without touching the brake. You know, you don't ride the brake, you're just pure power, spinning tyres, smoking the tyres for as long as you can get. And Eastern Creek Raceway has, or at that time it was called Eastern Creek Raceway, now it's called Sydney Raceway, I think, has a very long straight. I mean, they used to race Top Fuel along that straight. And so this guy in this Tirana, I think his name was Trent, but I could be wrong. Tirana hatch with a Holden V8, I think it was a stroker, it was like 355 or 383 stroker, and with nitrous. And he leaned on this thing and went basically curb to curb all the way up the track, smoking the tyres. It was just the most awesome display I'd ever seen in terms of power skids. So yeah, basically called it the best power skid ever, and a lot of fans agreed because they watched it 940,000 times, and no one disagreed that it was, you know, not the best power skid ever. So yeah, very cool video. In the number 8 spot, we've got Stephen Loader with Unload and a fire burnout at Milanats. Now, Stephen Loader is a legend in the burnout scene here in Australia. He's got a HT Premiere that basically, you know, had done many burnouts over the years and always finishing very high in the rankings. Well, he built himself a late model Commodore, a VE Commodore with plastic bumpers, and this car used to catch fire quite a lot. So blown big block, you know, 540 cube big block from memory. And yeah, he used to get out there, and I think I worked out it caught fire like 60% of the time. So we got a lot of fire burnout videos of that car over the years. But in this particular one, it was Malala at night. It was the Milanats, and basically the it lit them up and lit them up really well. We had a problem with the camera; it did not want to focus between the smoke and the fire, so it kind of goes out of focus in the middle of the burnout. But you know, eventually we get there and you just get this amazing fire burnout, and you know, a lot of people watched it. I mean, 950,000 views, and yeah, fire burnouts are always good for views on YouTube, or you certainly used to be. People are a little bit bored with it now. They're a little bit over with fire burnouts because they happen so often now. But yeah, back in the day, if you got a good fire burnout, you're guaranteed to get some views with it. In the number 7 spot, we've got the first of what I call our short form videos. And I've got to actually make a mention here that some of these videos, being as old as they are, YouTube has downgraded their quality. Like, YouTube has made them look worse than they actually were. Like, a lot of these videos were shot with good quality equipment. I've never had shit cameras. I've always used good quality Sony cameras and stuff like that. But because they were shot in old formats, YouTube has downgraded the quality as they appear on YouTube. And so this one's down to 240p, and so are some of the others, which is really annoying. They look like they were shot with a potato, and they were not. They were shot with very good cameras. But, you know, they were pre-HD, so therefore the software they use to, you know, show the videos, I guess, doesn't like the old footage. So anyway, this was one of the short form videos. And when I say short form, it's like under a minute. And basically it was a car I'd seen at Sydney Dragway. I was there filming an event, and this guy was launching this blown Tirana, and basically it ripped the pinion out of the front of the diff, like the 9-inch. It ripped the pinion out and then dumped the tail shaft on the ground, and basically oil everywhere. It was just a massive mess. But yeah, this thing had some balls. But yeah, when it ripped the pinion out, it made a fair mess. And a lot of people liked the video, and I think what did it end up with? 1.3 million views. So yeah, sometimes those short videos, they do quite well because, you know, people see, oh, it's a 40-second video. Well, anyone's got 40 seconds to watch a video. So they'll click on it, watch it, and they're done. You know, sometimes when people see a long video, you know, that's like 40 minutes or an hour or more, they might click away because they're like, oh, dude, I haven't got an hour to devote to watching that video at the moment. So short form videos do all right, but YouTube definitely pushes longer videos, especially these days, because it's easier to put ads against longer videos than it is shorter videos. Just a little bit of information there for you. In the number 6 spot, we've got a dyno fire, and this pretty much was the first dyno fire we'd ever filmed, and it's sort of the first and biggest dyno fire we've ever seen at Easternats. It was Craig Munro's Try Hard Club Sport. Now, Craig had been trying to win Horsepower Heroes at Easternats for quite a few years, but you know, he'd spent a lot of money. Like, spent $500,000 on this car at various workshops, and had been through several rebuilds. But yeah, they basically got it sorted. It made 1,211 horsepower at the tyres at that time. It won the competition, and on the very last run, it pumped out an injector O-ring, sprayed the engine bay with fuel. Of course, everything was hot, so it's just gone straight up in flames. Flames up through the top of the burnout, the dyno cage. It was pretty hectic. There's fire marshals running everywhere. Everyone's going nuts. The crowd's going nuts. I'm there trying to film the thing, trying not to die, you know, because I'm like, I can feel the heat coming off this thing, but I'm also like, this is awesome footage. I need to get the footage. So, you know, yeah, it was a great video. I ended up cutting the video together to put on the Street Machine 9MSM website, and it took down the website. They were very angry at the time, not Street Machine, but the webmasters at 9MSM were very angry because the amount of traffic that video generated, which is crazy because it's internet. It's all about the traffic. You want the traffic coming to you. Well, they didn't quite understand that at the time. This was pre-YouTube, so people had to actually download the video to watch it. So yeah, it took down the website. Yeah, true story. In the number 5 spot, again, an old video that I was actually told not to film at the time. Like, I was working for Jason at Street Commodores at the time, and we were at Easternats. We'd travelled down from Sydney to go to Easternats. I think it was about 2003, maybe 2004. And Jason had gone, look, don't film that because it's not a Commodore, you know. I'm like, dude, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to film it, and I'll just replace the tapes, you know. So, yeah, this will be my footage. So I filmed this thing, and of course it was Milan Doc in his Camaro, named Mental. It's like a 67, 68 Camaro. It basically, yeah, it was doing the Go to Woe event, which is basically launching and then going like 100, 150 meters and then stopping on a line. Well, on the launch, he pretty much lost it, and it slid for the best part of 100 meters. I thought it was going to go into the rail. I thought it was gone. But he managed to keep it off the rail, and as a bit of a victory, he then loops it in a burnout fashion, like blop, and then fires off down the track. And the officials were not very happy with him at the time, but yeah, ended up with a piece of awesome footage, and it ended up on the Street Commodores DVD because I went, oh man, I mean, how can we not show this, you know, because I had nowhere else to show it at the time. I was like, I'm putting this in the DVD just... And I even titled it for something, you know, a little bit different. And it's like, blah, you know. So, yeah, they got to use it anyway. Yeah, but it's funny how things work out, isn't it? In the number 4 spot, very controversial. This is a 2 million view video. So this is the Nuckin Futz Gemini from Easternats. So there's a bit of a story here because at the time, like, I'm there filming burnouts and I'm watching everything happening, and the last car had just gone off the track, and you know, the commentators are geeing up the crowd and doing various things, and no one's taken notice of what's happening up at the start line. And I notice, hang on, there's something going on up there. So I turn the camera up, turn it on, and I can see Matty Abood, who was running the Easternats burnout track. He was the head official. He's standing in front of this car and he's telling the guy to shut it down. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And, you know, they're waving other cars forward and no one's coming forward. And then the amount of people started increasing in front of this car. And the guy who had owned the car is Steve Nogas, who you may know with the Killer Bee Camaro. So the Killer Bee Camaro came later. And now, you know, Cletus owns that car. But Steve was there in his Gemini. And my understanding is that he got DQ'd the day before during burnouts he'd put the car into the wall and then done a burnout as he was leaving with the officials still on the track. But Easternats is a big organisation. There's a lot of people, so the people at the top end of the track are going, well, he's DQ'd. The people at the bottom of the track have just given him a ticket going, oh yeah, awesome burnout, dude, and oh, you're on the way. And they basically the message hasn't gone through. So Steve's shown up the next day with his ticket saying he's qualified, and the officials are looking at their list going, well, dude, no, you were DQ'd, you haven't qualified, so off you go. But he's been in the line for 2 hours, you know, so he's pissed off, and he forces his way through the officials with a car, which is very much the wrong thing to do. It is not the right thing to do. And so the officials are very angry. He's very angry. He just leans on his car and does this amazing burnout killer. The crowd's going off. They don't know what's happened, but they're just going, wow, this is fucking amazing. You know, what a great burnout. Then he gets out of the car. He's doing his, you know, little fucking dance, and some of the officials come down and they get a bit handsy, and security comes down. They grab this guy, and, you know, words are exchanged, and basically they, you know, walked Steve off the track. You know, they you know, basically manhandled him off the track, shut down his car, came in with a tilt tray, towed it off, and he was told not to come back. And they ended up relaxing that. The deal was supposed to be that Steve was going to come back and be an official next year to learn the other side of the thing, and he never did. But they eventually let him come back with the Killer Bee Camaro, and he, you know, did some great burnouts for that thing, and then took it to the States and did some stuff with Cletus and that. But yeah, pretty controversial at the time. Steve really, I don't think he likes me much because of that video, because I got a lot of views off that video, and my interpretation of what happened is different to his interpretation, because I had to interview him afterwards via phone for Street Machine, because I was there covering the event for Street Machine, of course, you know. So Street Machine wanted me to get his view, Summonat's view. I had to talk to all the parties involved, and yeah, Steve does not agree with my interpretation of what happened. So anyway, it's just one of those things. Number 3, we've got the famous or infamous cranky fire burnout. So this happened at the Kandos Street Machine show, just the other side of the Blue Mountains from Sydney, and wow, no one saw this coming. Now, like, it's like Rodney Waters with his HQs, like a blown 540, just amazing car, and I'm like, oh, this will be a killer burnout. And within 5 seconds, it had lit up and just sprayed fire everywhere, set fire to the garden behind the car, set fire to the Hessian fence. Basically, I'm there, I've got the camera, the video camera on a tripod, and I'm trying to take photos at the same time. So you see the camera, the video camera stopped tracking the car there for a moment as I'm trying to take photos. The photos ended up in Street Machine. The video ended up everywhere. That video has been the most pirated video. If I got a dollar or if I got a cent for every view on that video, I would be a millionaire. I mean, it has been seen hundreds of millions of times. It has been stolen and shared and reshared everywhere. Hoonigan took it and used it in their video without crediting me at all, which really pissed me off at the time. Yeah, it was just one of those things that video ended up everywhere. I still did all right out of it. I got 2 million views out of the thing, but yeah, Rodney Waters even, it's funny, car owners get funny about these things, because Rodney was like, oh, you got more earnings on YouTube for that than I got for winning and he did. He won the burnout comp. I'll tell you what, that pissed off some people. I overheard some other burnout guys, and I could name names, I won't, but some of the other burnout guys were pissed off that they gave Rodney the win after setting fire to to everything, and they were like, next year I'm coming back, I'm going to set fire to this entire joint if that's what it takes to win. You know, they were like really pissed off at the time. But yeah, Rodney was annoyed with me because somehow I'm earning money off this video, and he's like, oh, you got more than I earned for the win. And I'm like, but dude, I made you famous. You know, like, you end up going to the States with that car. You know, you did all right out of it. And they don't factor in the hours it takes for us to drive to these events, standing in the sun all day, filming this stuff. No one takes that into account, you know. So it's funny how car owners view some of this stuff. But yeah, 2 million views. That was all right. But like I said, if I got all the views of everyone that had ever seen that thing, yeah, I'd be pretty well off. Actually, talking about views, I'm just swinging back to Nuck and Futz, the Gemini thing. Here's a little divergence. So I uploaded the video while I was still in Canberra on the Monday morning, I think it was. So I'd slept in Canberra that night, hit the road Monday morning. I thought, oh, this video is pretty cool, I'll stick this up. By the time I got home, it was already viral. It was going everywhere. It was going nuts. Nuck and Futz. And then I jump on the train in the morning, because I was doing the Street Machine magazine Summonats edition. So I would be up there for a month after Summonats, you know, basically editing the Summonats magazine. So I'm riding the train on the way into work, and I'm watching these guys watch the video on the train that I'd filmed and just uploaded, and I'm like, how surreal is that? I had media companies from the US contacting me, wanting to do interviews, all sorts of stuff. It was just craziness. Yeah, it was a really wild time. So that, yeah. Now we're up to number 2. So the second biggest video is Milan again with this, what I called the crazy Camaro burnout. So again, Easternats, 2003, 2004. Milan's there with his Camaro, and he's doing the burnout comp. He's got the same tyres on it that he has on all the time. These massive Mickey Thompsons. They're not burnout tyres. These are like full on, like 14-inch, 16-inch wide tyres. They are massive tyres. They must be 31 or 33 inches tall. You know, big rubber. And he's out there and he doesn't care. So he gets on this thing and immediately it turns right and tries to put him into the wall. And he backs out. And as a burnout, like, it would not win a competition today in any shape or form. It's just, he's on and off the gas all the time because the car is so angry. It's a blown 540 big block methanol thing. It's just insane. And he's just on and off the gas, and that's not going to score you any points. But the crowd was loving it. They were loving it because it's just the whole thing shrouded in smoke. And there's one scene where he finally gets it kind of sorted and he's just on it, and he's just comes out of the smoke in slow motion, and the sun just shines down the side of the car, and it gives me chills every time I see that piece of footage. It just looks amazing. And yeah, that video, 3.1 million views. It was one of my the first videos I uploaded to YouTube, and it did pretty well. But the number one video, also a Camaro, Peter Gray's Camaro, and this was at Springnats in Shepparton. Peter hates this video, by the way. He does not like, he tried to recreate it in his own way, and it did nowhere near as good as what I've done. So when you're editing video, you're dragging your mouse across the timeline, sometimes looking for bits of video to chop in and out. So I'm dragging the mouse along the timeline, and just as I'm moving fast forward across this timeline, I see this Camaro goes, wow, and I'm like, wow, that was a pretty cool little bit of footage. So I went, all right, I'll slice that out and this and that, yeah, okay. I thought, it's kind of a nothing video. I'll throw it up there, but you know, it's not a burnout. It's not really drifting, but it's just Peter just throwing this Camaro around the skid pan there at Shepparton. And it got 4.6 million views. 4.6 million. I know, it's nuts. And like I said, Peter hates the video. He doesn't like it because he thinks, and like it is, it's a nothing video, but it just got watched so many times. And he's kind of like, he would have preferred it was this more polished production, and you know, he would have got to talk about his sponsors and the car and all the stuff. Well, there's none of that. It's just him in the car throwing it around the skid pan, and people loved it, and people watched it, and we got a lot of views in it. And like I said, it's just another case of car owners not really appreciating what we see from the outside and what it takes, you know, basically us being there, travelling hours to be at shows and standing there for hours collecting this footage to put up. And we turn these guys into heroes, and sometimes they don't appreciate us for us, that's for sure. Yeah, funny old world, isn't it? But yeah, there's 10 videos that basically have done all right for Scotty's Garage. Now, like I said before, some of these videos have been downgraded in terms of quality. I have re-uploaded some of these in more recent times in HD format, so YouTube doesn't screw with them, and they're making a comeback. They've got nowhere near the amount of views that the original videos do, but I will put the links to those videos and the originals down in the description, so you guys can click on them and see them if you like. Sure, please do that. Gives me more views. That'd be awesome. But yeah, good old YouTube. It's interesting what you see, and like I said, a lot of these videos are 10, 12, 14 years old, or even older. Some of them predate YouTube itself. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little backstory in some of these the top 10 videos of Scotty's Garage. And yeah, come back next week for more Scotty's Garage action, because we'll be here in the shed just making things happen. So a lot of views. It ended up on the Street Commodores DVD, and yeah, fuck me, this rain. I'm gonna have to redo this, aren't I?